One thing that I see happen a lot is in upward transitions, riders lean forward. So when they want to go to the trot, they go like this and then they kick and they start squeezing their legs. So that's going to be a problem. Hello, in this video we are talking all about transitions, and there's a great quote that says training happens in the transitions. I don't know if you've ever noticed, but everything that can go wrong will go wrong in a transition. And a lot of times you're riding along and it feels like everything's good. Your horse is round, your horse is feeling nice, and then you ask for a transition. I don't know, especially asking for the canter. I feel like that's where a lot of times all of a sudden your horse throws their head up, they get stiff, everything goes badly. So riding smooth and fluid transitions is a challenge. It's a test of whether your horse is really on the aids and whether your horse is really truly connected. But it's also really important because especially if you're showing, you get a lot of points in your transition. So in today's video, I'm going to show you a simple exercise to help improve your transitions. And then also I'm going to talk a little bit about a workshop that I have on transitions, which really goes into details and gives you a bunch of different exercises to improve your transitions, as well as a framework that you can use to analyze and assess your transitions. This is Mercurio here today, and so what we're going to do is we're going to start out on a circle line and just working on walk, trot, walk transitions. These are the most simple transitions that you can do. So if you're having trouble with a more complicated transition like your canter transition or a walk canter or a halt transition, go back to doing trot, walk, trot transitions and do them on a circle line, because what a circle line does for your transitions is a circle line helps connect your horse from inside leg to outside rein, and you have a little bend, and so that's going to help to keep the connection on during your transitions. So first off is the first thing you want to do is make sure that your horse is forward, make sure that your horse is round, and then you're going to close your calf for your transition up to the trot. So close your calf, transition up to the trot. So that to me was a very good transition. It was fluid, it was smooth, he responded to a very light aid. And the way that you want to assess your transitions is on two levels. So the first thing that you want to assess with your transition is the response to your aid. So let me just repeat it again. So the response to my aid, the aid for the trot is closing both legs at the girth. So I'm closing my calf, and he immediately responds by trotting forward. So I would say that the response to my aid there is quite good. Now, the second thing that you want to assess for your transitions is your horse's frame and outline. And ideally, in a perfect transition, your horse does not get any stronger in your hand. So if you have 6 to 8 ounces of contact, which is basically the feeling like you're holding someone's hand, you want that to stay the same during your transitions. So just to rehash, the number one thing you want to assess is the response to your aid, and the second thing that you want to assess is the frame and the contact, making sure that your horse didn't get stronger in the contact when you did your transition. So these transitions are quite good. I'm going to say if I was in a test getting scored for them, I would hope that I was getting a 7 or an 8, because the transitions are really smooth, they're really fluid. He's responding to a nice invisible aid. And so you might be wondering, okay, well, that's definitely not happening for me and my horse. So what can I do to improve my transitions? So the first thing is that you always want to start out by checking in with your position. Make sure that during your transitions that you're keeping your alignment, your ear, shoulder, hip, heel. One thing that I see happen a lot is in upward transitions, riders lean forward. So when they want to go to the trot, they go like this and then they kick and they start squeezing their legs. So that's going to be a problem. And then I also see sometimes in downward transition, same thing. When your horse does the downward transition, you tip forward. So number one is make sure that you're keeping the correct alignment. Number two is get the response to your driving aid. So the way that you get the response to your driving aid is you always start with the aid you want. So you start by closing your calf. If your horse doesn't listen to that, then follow through with your heel. So I'm going to start by closing my calf. Of course, he responds really nicely to that. But if your horse doesn't respond to that, then you need to follow through with a big kick. And it's really important that you get the response to your leg aid before you start working on the frame and keeping your horse round. But being able to ride smooth and fluid transitions is so important. Once you can do your trot, walk, trot transitions, the next step is you're going to start working on trot-canter trot transitions. And again, what you're really focusing on is number one, the response to the aid that you ask with a nice soft aid closing your legs, that your horse responds immediately. And then secondary to that is that you're able to maintain the same frame, meaning that your horse stays with the same outline, half halt, canter, the same frame, that they don't come above the contact and they don't curl behind the contact. So working on transitions is one of the best exercises that you can do, not only to improve your scores, but also to test if your horse is on the aids. And it also really helps to develop your horse's top line. Every time that you ride a transition and your horse maintains the same frame, it's building up their top line. So every time that I'm doing a transition here and Mercurio does it correctly, he's lifting up in his back and he's engaging his hind end. Transitions are something that I work on with my horses every single day, and they really do help to get your horse on the aids and to get your horse better engaged and to get your horse more supple. So I've just given you kind of a general overview of transitions, but I'd really like to help you more with refining your transitions. So check out the description box so that you can learn more about my workshop. Inside the workshop, I have a bunch of different exercises where I really help you problem solve and find different patterns and different exercises to help improve your transitions. There's also a ride-along podcast in there, which is great so that you can listen while you ride, as well as an entire theory lecture where I dive into the details of transitions, how to improve your transition, what makes a good transition, and what the judges are looking for in their transition. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and your homework is to practice your transitions.